We'll take a quote that says it's bad and we'll put it on the back of the book.
Absolutely. Yeah, I actually, when we did Dead Work in the spring, I got vetoed. I wanted to put a quote from my mom telling me to get a real job, and we ended up getting like a nice comics like review quote instead.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Inside Comics. Really quick, if you like this kind of content, make sure you subscribe and tell a friend about it. Today, I'm super psyched. I'm joined by LYNDON RADCHENKA and Stephen KAUL. Guys, thanks so much for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So The Laundryman just debuted on Kickstarter today, and it's doing phenomenal. And I want to talk to you about your new book and where people can get it from. And we're also going to talk about signing contracts and getting into comics and how to improve your writing. So we have a couple of topics today. But really quick, can you tell us, give us like the synopsis for The Laundryman?
Yeah, so The Laundryman is an ongoing comic series. The first book is on Kickstarter right now at laundryman.ca. And the series is about two mercenary monster hunters who operate out of a laundromat, and they solve supernatural crimes and mysteries. So think of it like Ghostbusters meets X-Files with a little touch of supernatural in there also.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's got a bit of a comedy with sensibility to it with being set in a laundromat.
Yeah. There's a bit of a flair there. Yeah.
Nice. That's great. And what inspired you guys to write this series and create this series?
I really wanted to make something along the lines of like a supernatural or a Ghostbusters. Specifically, Ghostbusters was that inspiration to have like two guys or three or four, whatever. In this case, it's two, running a small business and solving supernatural mysteries. I really like the idea of doing like a decade ambiguous, so I could get really weird with the technology and kind of just, and I really wanted to make it look like it was kind of coming from where we're from, like in Winnipeg. A little more flat, a little more snowy. No snow in this one, but we'll get there.
And I really love the nature or the almost multi-genre-ness of the concept. So these guys are going to solve, horror-themed mysteries or like sci-fi. And I really liked, from a storytelling perspective, the ability to tell these stories and take the sort of tropes and expectations that we have as readers or viewers when we watch these things on TV, and learn how they play with each other when they're crossing over. So, for instance, in the first issue of the series, we open with this, spoiler alert, werewolf chase, but the monster reveal at the end of the first issue is really this, sci-fi inspired, tentacle-looking creature that I don't want to get into too much detail without giving away the story.
And I should say one more little thing that I said to Lyndon when we really thought this through was I wanted black suits, black cars, and tons of cigarettes, just to really that hard-boiled, almost noir, tropey thing. So yeah.
And as someone who loves Mad Men, the more cigarettes, the better.
That's cool. So you guys have another series coming out later this year called There Was Another Life from Source Point Press. And I'm wondering if you can tell the viewers at home a little bit about getting, signing your contract with the company and things to consider when you're going to that. I know, Lyndon, you have a background in law, and I'm wondering if you can just give some pointers to the viewers at home.
Yeah, the first thing that you should do is read your contract. And if you find that you can't understand it, you should find someone who can understand it, namely someone with a background in law or other writers that who have dealt with these contracts before and have gone through similar things.
Yeah, so that's my advice. Make sure to partner with a writer who is also a lawyer. It's very helpful.
They're everywhere, right? That's all of them.
Yeah.
So it's really important that you take the time to understand what it is you're getting into, and the legal trained part of me has to put the disclaimer that nothing that I'm saying can be construed as legal advice. Go talk to a lawyer, like a practicing lawyer, to review your contract with you. But it's really important that you understand what it is you're signing when you do it, and the long-term implications that come along with that, because a lot of publishers Historically, they like to take as many rights to your work as they can, and maybe not necessarily give them back to you if that property does well. So it's really important up front that you make sure you look into what it is they're asking for, and you fully understand how long they're asking to keep it, or how you would be able to get your rights back at some point down the road.
Yeah. One tip that I would like to share from personal experience is make sure that there's like an end to the contract if the publisher doesn't fulfill what they say they're going to do. Because I've had a few books where I've signed with different publishers now, and the publisher starts like going under, or they're just not ever releasing your series. You want to make sure that like there's a time limit on how long they hold the rights or percentage of the rights to your property, or else you could be stuck with like having created this thing and now they own it and you can't get it back.
Yeah, I was really lucky in one of my contracts. My publisher specified in one of the clauses that if they ever sold their company anywhere else, that my rights would come back to me automatically. So outside from the bankruptcy stuff, which is generally boilerplate, like I want to say, usually if a company declares bankruptcy, rights tend to revert, but it's maybe less common for rights to revert to you if that company sells itself to another company. So it's important to look at sort of planning for the future and trying to plan for all of the different outcomes that you'll have to deal with.
And then I would also like to talk about like kind of improving your skills, because you guys have leveled up here. You know, you guys started off with like just a few little things and kind of going to local shows, and now, you know, I'm seeing you in the big shows all over North America, and you know, you've got this Kickstarter that's doing phenomenally, and you've got books coming out from publishers. And I want to talk to you about kind of like leveling up your skills, and what have you been doing as a writer and an artist to just kind of get better over the last few years?
From the artist perspective, I'll always say like it's just a matter of like it sounds lame, but like just doing the work, like finishing something, whatever you're working on, get through it. Every little panel isn't your magnum opus. When someone's reading that comic, they're going to look at that panel, part of it, for like 25 seconds, and they're going to move to the next panel. So the idea is to keep going and keep making mistakes and keep finishing work. And then all those mistakes and all that work you do eventually build up into a style and a way to do things and a way to improve. So like, and I don't get bogged down in my style. Like I'm a penciler, an inker, and a colorist in these books. Like, and I think in every book, my coloring style is different, but I think it gets more and more honed and specific to me as I keep going. I used to spend tons of time on coloring, only to realize I could do a lot less and produce a lot more quality that way by just really caring about the colors and what I'm putting down on the paper. So people always say it's quality over quantity, but I really think in this profession it's quantity, because the quality comes with quantity, and it also shows that you can do the work. So then we can go back to the other situation. You could start talking about contracts and stuff like that. So that's what
Well, isn't it sort of an age-old saying too, that you need to do something for 10,000 hours or whatever the number is before you can master it, and you're not gonna hit that number if you're not doing the work, if you're not consistently grinding it out and trying to improve that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From a writing standpoint, you know, as you were talking, I'm trying to think of like non-cliched answers that I can give to that question, because so many of the things that you read are true. The first one being that you should read. If you're a writer, you should be taking in other media, and that's something that Stephen King has said. Whether it's reading, or you're watching movies, or you're even video games at this point, you're looking at story structure. It's important for you to take in other things and not just focus on writing all the time, because where you're going to get a lot of, you know, ideas and growth is from taking in other media and turning it over in your brain and looking at how it's made and dissecting it. It's really important to surround yourself, if you can, with other people that are doing the sorts of things that you want to be doing, even if you're, mentoring under them, or you're trying to catch up to them as fast as you can. The people that you spend the most time with are the people that you get your habits from. And so it's really important that you're conscious of the people that are around you, because that's how you're going to behave. And then of course, it's really important to always be trying to get better. Never settle into, well, I'm as good as I'm going to get. There's nothing else I can do. So like in my instance, I read a lot of books on writing. I'm taking the Substack course that Scott Snyder is offering. I've taken video classes with Brian Bendis in the past. It's really just who can I be in touch with that is ahead of me, that can teach me something so that I can try and catch up to them. Because you're not going to get better by only spending time with the people that aren't trying to get better or aren't better than you already. So those are really my 3 takeaways. In sum, is take in other media, surround yourself with people that are doing the type of work that you want to do, and always be trying to learn from people that are better than you.
So one of my favorite pieces of advice that really stuck with me is you can't make it better until you have it down on the page. And I think that kind of talks to what both of you were saying there. You got to do the work and you got to make it happen. But especially as a writer, you sit around and you think about these ideas. And for the longest time, I was very nervous about putting them out there and even just writing them down. But you can't make it better until it's down, and then you go back and you do your second and your third, fourth draft, and really work on it. So that's one thing that really stuck with me as a piece of advice. That's really cool that you're taking these courses too, and that you've hooked up with Scott Snyder. I see that he's got a recommendation for your book here.
Yeah, would you like me to read it out to you?
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So, what Scott Snyder said about The Laundryman is that, and I quote, "Laundryman has it all: horror, adventure, mystery, and heart. Down and dirty monster hunting with a fresh and clean twist. KAUL and RADCHENKA have made one fun, twisted ride. 100% deserves your support." Dude. And it's just awesome. It's just amazing. Scott Snyder, yeah, he's one of those. His books are what drew me into comics however long ago. And he's been, it feels like, especially in the last couple of years, he's been trying to put so much more back into the comics community. So the fact that he would take the time to read our book and say something nice about it, it means the world to myself. And I won't speak for Steven, but
it does. It's I don't even know what to say. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Just to see like what Lyndon said, people who are ahead of you, being able to look back and see what you're doing and give you notes, give you advice, or even just in this case, say something good about it. It really helps. It helps you understand where you're at. It helps you feel like you're going in the right direction, but also okay, I've got more work to do. It's something really cool.
Yeah, that's some very high praise. So let's get back into The Laundryman a bit. So it's on Kickstarter right now. I'm wondering, what kind of reward tiers do you have for it? Do you have any variant covers, things like this?
Yeah, so we're not doing variant covers. The Kickstarter goal is going to print the entire first 3 issues, which is the first story arc, as a single volume. So it's going to be about 80 pages. The initial ask is going to print the book in black and white, which is an idea actually that Steven and I got from earlier this year. We printed just the first issue in black and white. We printed 100 copies of it, and we took it to shows, including some of the bigger shows that we saw you at, George, and we sold out of all of our issues in 3 shows, 3.5 shows.
Really yeah, fun. Yeah, really 3 in a small, and it was insane. It was so cool.
Yes. Yeah. So we are printing this book in black and white, but one of our stretch goals is to print it in full color, and we have it all finished in full color. So the entire book is ready to go and be sent to the printer. But what's going to be available to backers is obviously the digital copy, the physical copy. We have a bundle of books that are all of the books that Steven and I have done together. So that includes our first book, Infinite Universe, our second book, What Will Not Last, which is an anthology collection that I wrote and lettered and Steven has a short in. Dead Work, which is a 144-page comics anthology with a ton of different genre comics, including some from our mutual friend GMB Kamichuk, who's also in there. Then it has our, how do I explain this? We call it our 24-hour comics day comic, which is When I Get Home, which is a book that Steven drew it's a 20-page black and white comic that Steven illustrated for 24-hour comics day this past year. So
that's nuts. So that's like 2 12-hour days, right? And you just bang out a whole book.
Yeah. Didn't sleep, ate some, drank some coffee, and just didn't sleep, and it was cool. The product is awesome, but the way you feel at the end is just not.
Yeah.
But it's great.
At the end of that 24 hours, we had been the 5 of us that participated, including Gregory, as we said. We locked ourselves in a bar basically for 24 hours, and by the end of it, when we crawled our way out the next day, we were all wearing hoodies and toques with our hoods up because our bodies had stopped regulating our temperature, and we were shivering from being awake for so long. But we came out with this finished comic, and we're so proud with how it turned out. So that's available in our Infinite Studio Comics bundle. We do have a bundle for retailers if they're interested. You can buy 10 issues or 10 copies of the book at wholesale prices. And then we have some more of our premium tiers. For instance, Steven is going to be doing some commission slots. I am a comics letterer, so I'm going to be doing some lettering if people want me to be their letterer. I have, as I said, a number of published works from heavy metal to upcoming Source Point Press. So I do know what I'm doing. And then we have some original art that is going to be available too as sort of our premium bundles. So Steven mostly works in digital, so there aren't a lot of original pieces to go around for this book. So we're gonna have one or two done.
Yeah, I guess it is today, and you'll see it. And I do have. We're digging in the archives. My wife and I were cleaning up the office. We found this one here. If I can find the camera. So this is an old pen and ink on paper concept that I did for the Laundryman. The characters look quite a bit different there, but we thought it'd be a really great add to the Kickstarter. It's a great looking piece.
Yeah.
So the Laundryman is available on Kickstarter right now. There is a link in the description of this video, so click that link, everybody, and go and back this book. It's getting great reviews. It's a phenomenal series. Three issues, 80 pages. That's a lot. That's like a graphic novel. So that's a good chunk of reading right there. So show Lyndon and Steven some love, and go and pick up this book. Guys, I want to thank please. This is a quality book from top shelf guys. So definitely show them some love. Lyndon and Steven, I want to thank you for being on Inside Comics.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Until next time. Peace.